So something I learned early on in my scouting career was if I forgot it on one camping trip, I would remember it on the next one. Whether it be my pillow, flashlight, portable charger, so on and so forth. So today I wanted to take some time and kind of go over my hot tent camping gear with you all. It's something I haven't really talked about. I know I have the Hori 5 building video up on my channel, but I haven't covered some of the other stuff like my tent, my sleeping pad, my other hot tent stove, and a couple other odds and ends things that I want to touch base and kind of go over, some good, the bad, the ugly. So the first stove that I'm going to touch base on is my Danshell Outdoor titanium folding stove. I really like this stove, and there's a couple other things I truly enjoyed with it when it came to hot tent camping that I'm going to go over right now with you all. So first things first with this stove, it is a folding stove. It's pretty lightweight in comparison to something like the Hori 5. My very first trip with it, I had it in its carrying case. I was able to carry it one-handed, no issues. Took it to camp, got it set up, and got it burning. It was my first real hot tent stove that I didn't have a whole lot of problems. I've had some very cheap Amazon knockoffs that I would have been better off to save my money and get something like this right off the rip. Just from things like air issues to quickly going out because the coals are falling through the grates, things like that. So this is how the chimney packs up. I'm not going to take and unroll it to show you guys today, but I will post pictures that I have or screenshots from other videos. I do like this design with it. It makes it a lot more compact and easy to carry, but the downfall with it is you have to have a pair of gloves that are cut proof. Every time I've handled this stove pipe and rolled it up to set it up and get it going, I've always had the gloves on, but it is extremely sharp around the edges. I would not recommend handling that without a good set of gloves on, just to protect your hands, because you could be miles away from help, and that is not a situation you want to be in. The other thing, this was my first hot tent stove that had a dampener. So it made a huge difference for me in my experience. And as you guys can tell, it's pretty dirty. I gotta get all this cleaned up for kind of long-term storage. Hot tent season for us is coming to a close. It's coming to a close quick. And then here's the other. Here is the spark arrestor. Again, it's super dirty. I do have to scrub this out and get it ready for storage. Decent amount of creosote buildup in it and things. It was only a couple nights. You guys won't be able to see it, but only a couple night trip, and the stove wasn't rolling the entire time. It also came with, this one's, I feel, is super important, an extra wrench and Allen key, as well as a fire poker. When it gets hot, it's easy to use this to wrap it or get it or put it through the loop to open and close the door as you're loading and unloading, wood throughout the night, or if you're cooking. You'll have to excuse the fish tank lights, but this is your air control on it. This is the inside. Again, super dirty. I gotta clean it up from the last trip. But all in all, it's a super solid stove. So the downfalls of this stove, it's not a very big stove at all. You'll be feeding it every 2 to 3 hours. and the ash buildup in it, it builds up relatively quick. Could have been the type of wood we were using as well. But the ash buildup, it felt like there was a couple different times where we'd been using it for an extended period. I took my little folding camping shovel, pulled out the ashes, put it somewhere safe, and kept going with it. Other than that, this one was my first good stove, and I wished I would have gone this route a lot sooner rather than later. So next we're going to talk about the Hori 5. This is the lowest tier stove on the Hori line. You have the Hori 5, the Hori 5 Titanium, and then you've got the Hori 5 Max. A couple things I really enjoy about the stove is the burn time that we were getting out of the pellets. We were getting out of a full hopper right around 12-ish hours of burn time. But we were also burning the stove at the lowest settings that we could. Between the feed and the dampener on the chimney, we both had those dampered down as low as we could. The other good thing, it was all there contained within the stove. So as soon as you open it, you've got 3 pieces of chimney, and then I've also got my wood stove fan that I use, as well as the cloth, the fireproof cloth to throw under it. But other than that, it's all pretty well contained in there inside of the carrying case. The downfall with this stove, and there's going to be a few of them, the weight. Unlike the folding stove from Danchel Outdoors, this thing is really heavy to carry. I carried it about a half mile in this last time around. And then you add the weight of the pellets, we carried in right around 40 pounds. And we used all the pellets when we were up there. Another thing, I have not used the oven in it. I know I've seen a lot of YouTubers and other people say it's more like a broiler. Haven't really messed with it yet. Like I've said in my most recent video, where you are sitting right around the 50 to 60 hour burn time on it. So it's not super high up there as far as like burn hours goes, but we're starting to kind of see the good and the bad. And kind of give you guys an idea. When I was looking these up, I've seen a lot of good videos from different YouTubers and other people, but I've also seen a couple things that I feel are somewhat concerning and some precautions to take with it when it comes to the stove. So first things first, the fill neck on this, where your pellets drop down from the hopper down into the burn pot. I think the idea in practice is really good with this rear air intake. However, there is a problem I've noticed with it, and I've been able to actively prevent any serious issues. There's a YouTuber on here, there's actually a couple YouTubers on here that have had issues out of this, and it's definitely something I need to bring up and make sure you guys are well informed of before I recommend it. So on this air intake, when you fill it up, the pellets hold that down, which keeps this air vent open. But what I've noticed is there on the sides, you've got those little very small gaps on the sides of this little flap, and pellets like to get themselves lodged in it. So every time I have used it, I've always burned it completely empty, so it's not really something I've had to worry about. However, username is LoneWolf902. He just had an incident where he put the card in between the filler neck and the hopper to cut off the pellet flow to the burn pot, and because of the pellets getting lodged there on that flap, It allowed the pellets up in the hopper to heat up and eventually catch fire. And his videos was recently posted, so if you guys go look at that and kind of check it out. Luckily nobody was hurt. There was a lot of smoke damage and things, but it is something to definitely be aware of. And if you are going to go this route and get the Hori 5, you have to have a carbon monoxide detector and a smoke detector with you, especially if you're going to be using it while you are asleep. I highly recommend getting a carbon monoxide detector and a smoke detector. Those are both a must. Whether you're going with the Hori 5, the Danchel Outdoor, it's a safety precaution and you don't want something bad to happen while you're sleeping. So that is something else you guys absolutely have to have. As far as tents go, I use the One Tigers Rock Fortress. Been a very, very solid tent. I've used it from mid-fall all the way to mid-spring. It does extremely well. I've had it for a handful of years now. The only thing I had to do was go out and buy the footprint for the One Tigers Rock Fortress. They both pair extremely well, and that's just a me thing. I didn't like walking around on mud once the ground started to thaw, so I wanted to go out and get the footprint. Both have been extremely solid. The only kind of gripe I can muster up is with the tent itself. When I'm setting it up, I have an issue where when I pop it up, I put the stakes in by the door, then I'll put the pole in, put the stakes in on the other side, and I somehow managed to goof up the stake spacing on the side. More often than not, they're too close to each other. So that's a me thing, it's not a tent thing. I just got to get it out and play with it more. And the other thing, on this last trip when we were using it, when it was raining, I did notice we had some drips coming in. I don't know if it was from the top of the zipper, whether or not we had the tent zipped up all the way, or if there's another spot somewhere that the fabric's kind of stretched out. That's something I got to figure out though. But I love this tent. I've used this tent a lot, and if this specific one ends up ripping or tearing, it's something I will absolutely 100% go out and buy again. Air pad, I use the Top Toast. I know I'm not saying that right. 6-inch inflatable pad. It's been amazing. I've used it for around about 2 years now. It'll be about 2 years here in the summertime. I get the thicker one just because of the titanium rods in my chest. It makes it harder to sleep and less comfortable with the thinner air pads. So it's not something I will always have to deal with, but for right now I do. As far as this goes, it's been super solid. The only downfall is, like in the morning, you might have to reinflate it a little bit. I'm 6'3", I can stretch out on it, no issues. The sleeping bags do have a tendency to kind of slide up and down on it though, so that is another downfall. Other than that, it's been a great sleeping pad in the time that I've had it. And if it does go out with that one, I might look around and see and try out some different air pads. I've had a couple where I absolutely hate it, and this has been the first one that I've loved since I've started using it. So as far as this small list goes, my favorite piece of gear is my Rock Fortress tent. I'm, again, 6'3". I can't stand up in it, but that tent has gone through a couple of storms and it's been fine. It's something where if for whatever reason that tent were to fall apart, I would be looking to go out and get the exact same tent next time around. There's enough room for 2 of these air pads to inflate, as well as have the table and the stove set up. As far as the chairs I had, we did have to fold those up and kind of shove in a corner, but that is completely reasonable. So in ending this video, make sure you guys always do your best to research the hot tent stoves you go with. Again, I've had phenomenal stoves from Amazon. I've also had not great stoves from Amazon. And if you're going to hot tent stove camp, make sure you have a carbon monoxide detector and a smoke detector. And I mean, what are some gear that you guys use that you like? What is it that you guys like about them? And I mean, share your experience in the comments, you know, tell me the good, the bad, the ugly.